بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم ما بعد. Yesterday we were speaking about the tanazzulat, or the revelation of Quran, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first revealed the Quran into the Lawh Mahfuz. The Lawh Mahfuz, in English we call it the preserved tablet. It contains all the information that will occur in the dunya. And this also includes Quran. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran in the Lawh Mahfuz. And then from the Lawh Mahfuz to the Sama'ud Dunya, which is the lowest level of the heavens. Lawh Mahfuz is above. And the lowest level of the heavens, there's a place called Baytul Izzah. And that's where the angels do tawaf. And it's above the Kaaba in the sky. And so from the Lawh Mahfuz to the Baytul Izzah, the entire Quran was revealed all at once again in preparation for when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was sent. And then on Laylatul Qadr, Jibreel alayhi salam, he took the Quran, he takes it from the Baytul Izzah and reveals portions to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam by the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam receives the Quran, it's not in the order in which we have it right now. Right? So when you open up the Quran, you have Al-Fatiha first, then Al-Baqarah, then Al-Imran, Nisa, Ma'idah, etc., so on and so forth. 30 juz that we're aware of. This is not the order in which Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam received Quran. So we know that Surah Al-Baqarah is a Madani surah. Everyone agrees that it was revealed in Medina. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, we know that he was in Mecca before that. So it automatically suggests to us that the Quran is revealed in a different fashion. Surah Al-Alaq is the first revelation. He's going to talk about differences of opinion in that regard, and I'll explain. There are 3 different opinions as to what is the first revelation. But what you and I commonly know, that's the most accurate opinion, that Surah Al-Alaq is the first to be revealed. Now, that is the first revelation, but it's found all the way at the end of the Quran. So how did we get the Quran in the fashion that it is set up right now? Now, this itself is a miracle, the way that you and I have the Quran. If anyone ponders over this, this is a miracle of the Quran. And inshallah, in December, I'll be talking about this in more detail. So, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam receives portions of Quran, small portions at a time. Whatever, the ayah is talking about, he would get that ayah which is relevant to his mission. So if someone brings some type of objection against Tawheed, there will be an ayah that answers that. That will be revealed to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. However, that specific ayah will be, say, perhaps in the middle of the Quran. Like, that's where it belongs. But he's receiving it when he's in Makkah. And then he gets another ayah in Medina, and that is for whatever reason, and that is going to be put somewhere else in the Quran. But it's not in chronological order. So the ayahs of the Quran are not chronological, right? We don't have all of the ayahs, and we don't know exactly when every single ayah was revealed. We have a gist, we have a general understanding. So now, why is this the case? So what we'll say is, or what the scholars have stated, when the Quran was sent to the Lawh Mahfuz and from the Lawh Mahfuz to the Baytul Izzah, it is sent in the way we have it right now. Then Allah commanded Jibreel that give this ayah to Muhammad at this time. And it's basically all over the place. Like this ayah at this time, he needs this ayah right now, that ayah at another place. And then Jibreel alayhi salam, he knows what the actual order is because he's looking at, the Baytul Izzah, etc. He knows the order. So he also informs Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that this ayah that I'm giving you right now, it's not to be put with the last ayah that I just gave you. That last ayah goes into this surah, and this ayah goes into that surah. And he tells them every single ayah and every single surah. So Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is not doing anything from his side. Jibreel Alayhi Salam is informing him. We have a hadith about this, where he says, Jibreel comes to me, and he tells me, ضع هذه الآية في تلك السورة. Put this ayah in that surah. This surah belongs there. The whole order is given by Jibreel alayhi salam. And every Ramadan, Jibreel alayhi salam and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would do revision. So they say the dawr of the Hafiz is a sunnah of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, right? The Hafiz of Quran, he repeats the whole Quran over and over, and he revises it pre-Taraweeh in Ramadan. This is the sunnah of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and Jibreel. Because every Ramadan, Jibreel would come and whatever was revealed thus far, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would revise with him. And the last year of his life, his blessed life, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam revised the entire Quran twice with Jibreel Alayhi Salam. One of those revisions was in the presence of, or he was present, Zayd bin Thabit. Zayd bin Thabit was there also. He didn't see Jibreel, but because a human can't see an angel, but Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was able to see Jibreel, and he was listening. So the entire order of Quran is from Allah, and the lack of the chronological order is also from Allah. So the Quran that you and I have, the order, that is not the chronological order, but this is the order in which Allah wants us to have it. There's a wisdom behind it. And the chronological order is also a wisdom from Allah, and He wanted Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to have that as well. So what's the miracle in this? When Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam received the first wahi, اقرأ بسم ربك الذي خلق, he didn't know how many ayahs there's going to be. He doesn't know that there's going to be 114 surahs, 30 juz, this many ayahs, thousands of ayahs. He doesn't know. He just received اقرأ بسم ربك الذي خلق, like 5-6 ayahs. Next time he receives Surah Al-Fatiha. Next time he reads Surah Al-Muddathir. He doesn't necessarily at this point know what the Quran is going to end up looking like. He doesn't know Fatiha is going to be first and then Muzammil's and 30 juz. He doesn't know all the in-betweens. He just has these ayahs. And that's all he has. So after a while, he's starting to get more and more portions. Jibreel alayhi salam finally tells him, this is where this belongs, that belongs. At the end, when the Quran is culminated, all of these fragments form a beautiful, cohesive book that when you and I read it, we can't even tell there was fragments. This is akin to you and I buying a jigsaw puzzle, throwing it up in the sky, and it landing in place. It's a miracle. How in the world did he plan this? No one has ever in the history of humanity written a book like this. So if he was able to take these fragments and he's saying, okay, you know, it's going to belong here, that, there, and Sahaba are witnessing all this, and at the end it just forms this thing that when we read it, you can't tell there's fragments. So it's a miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this is what Allah intended. That when you and I look at it this way, you're like, wow, this is really miraculous. And we're supposed to inspect Quran like that. So we don't always know where the fragment ended, where Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam got this portion of wahi. But sometimes you can tell. Like there's a story that ends, maybe just that story was revealed, and then there's another subject that starts. Maybe that's the fragment. But when it's in order, this story and the next piece of information, there's a very strong connection between the two. So you could also assume that there was no fragment. So it's a very beautiful thing scholars have highlighted regarding the Quran. So I just wanted to highlight this, and this is the miracle of Quran that you and I have. No book has ever been compiled in this fashion. And on top of that, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam doesn't know how to read, he doesn't know how to write. He has not been educated by any individual. His educator is Allah. So it's just miracle upon miracle. And you'd have to be spiritually blind not to see it. Right? So those who know Quran yet they deny, they're spiritually blind. And they choose not to see. Because it's overwhelming. So let's get back to topic. We were talking about, is Surah Al-Fatiha Makki or Madani? Meaning, where in Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's lifetime was Surah Al-Fatiha revealed? So the overwhelming opinion, and Ibn Kathir, he gives a proof for this as well, is that it's a Makki surah. There is an opinion that it's Madani. There's another opinion that there's two Fatihas, one revealed in Makkah, one in Medina. But the correct opinion in this regard is going to be, it is Makki. And then he says another opinion, Abu Layth as-Samarqandi was a Hanafi scholar. He says half of Fatiha was revealed in Makkah and the other half in Medina. So many opinions, but the correct opinion is what we have shared. He says this is a gharib jiddan. This is a very strange opinion of his. And then he says, how many ayahs of Surah Al-Fatiha? He says there's 7, according to the vast majority. He says, bila khilaf. There's no difference of opinion, but then he quotes the difference of opinion after that. That's because it's not worthy of really, considering as an opinion. He says some have stated 8, but it's actually 7. Some have stated 6. These are very rare and outlier opinions. The vast majority throughout the ages has been that it is 7 ayats. Now, regarding the actual ayahs themselves, there's a difference. Is Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim an ayah or not? So he says al-mashhur, with the famous opinion according to the people of Kufa, and he says some Sahaba and some Tabi'een had this view, is that it is an ayah. Right? Surah Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim is the first ayah. And some have stated that no, it's not an ayah, by itself. It is basically a what tells you to, when a surah is finished and another surah starts, it's basically that. It tells you that one surah has been completed and another one is starting. And he says this has been the statement of the people of Medina. So I'm just going to read the Arabic here. He says, هل هي آية مستقلة من أولها كما هو المشهور عن جمهور القراء من الكوفة. So the majority of the reciters of Kufa state that it is an ayah, Surah Al-Fatiha, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And this has been an opinion of a majority of Sahaba Tabi'een. Some state it's part of an ayah, or it's not considered part of Surah Al-Fatiha. So there's a lot of differences of opinion. I want to kind of avoid these kind of things because it's not really going to help us in too much of understanding. Now, how many words in Surah Al-Fatiha? So it says, كَلِمَاتُهَا خَمْسٌ وَعِشْرُونَ كَلِمَةً. It says 25 words in Surah Al-Fatiha. So we can count. You open up your Mus'haf and count how many words. See if it's 25. How many letters Surah Al-Fatiha? مِئَةٌ وَثَلَاثَةَ عَشَرَ حَرْفًا. It says 113 letters. When is this beneficial? When you're doing Muslim math on Laylatul Qadr. How many rewards am I going to get when I recite Surah Al-Fatiha once? We did that on the board. So we can use Ibn Kathir's opinion that it's 113 letters. Now he goes into, how much time do I have? It's 9:12. Let's stop at 15 then. So why is Surah Al-Fatiha called Ummul Kitab? So he did discuss this before, he's bringing it up again. He says Imam al-Bukhari, he mentions in Kitab al-Tafsir, a chapter in Sahih Bukhari, which talks about tafsir. He says, Fatiha is called Ummul Kitab, which means, he's going to talk about what it means. لأنه يبدأ بكتابتها في المصاحف ويبدأ بقراءتها في الصلاة. It's called Ummul Kitab, the foundation of the book, because it is the first thing written in the Quran. So in the written Quran, not the chronological Quran, it's first. And you start with that in Salah. So that is the foundation of the book. Another opinion is that it's called Fatiha because all of the meanings of Quran go back to it. So Surah Al-Fatiha comprises praise of Allah, it comprises warnings, it comprises, because Maliki Yawmiddin is a threat. Like, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, he's very kind, he's very, gentle with the believers. And then you get this overwhelming feeling, Alhamdulillah, Allah's so kind. And then you're like, let me sin, he's so kind. No, Maliki Yawmiddin. There's the Yawm al-Qiyamah. Don't go into that. Don't think Allah's a pushover now. He's kind, but he's not a pushover. He's going to take you to task. So there's threats, there's dua, there's seeking of guidance, there's talk about history, the Nasara and Yahud, all of that is in Fatiha. So it comprises of all the elements of Quran. Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, who's a great scholar of tafsir, he says the Arabs, they use the word which means mother, for anything that comprises, that is, it joins many things together. Kullu jami'in amran. Anything that's in front of something or anything that encompasses something, they call it a mother, or the foundation. So he says here, if you have a leader and something that follows, that's also called So why is Fatiha called the foundation of the Quran? Because it's the leader, because it encompasses all the subject matters of the Quran, all of these reasons, because that's what you call it. And then they have a word for the skull of a person, or he says al-jinda allati tajma'u dimagh. Underneath in the fiqh books we have a chapter about qisas, like, so they talk about the different layers of the head. So you might be thinking, like, why are you talking about this in fiqh? It's because if someone smashes another guy's head, what to do with him. So they talk about, like, how bad is the damage. So you have the skin, you have the skull, you have various layers of the skull. Underneath the skull there's this other skin that's protecting a membrane that protects the brain. So he says here, Rats is a name for the skin that protects the brain because it encompasses the brain. So when something encompasses something, you give it the name Rats means the mother of the head or the foundation of the head. So it's that skin inside that's protecting the brain. So he says that's why it's called Kitab, because it encompasses the Kitab. Al-Fatiha encompasses all facets of Quran. And he also says Makkah, the nickname of Makkah is Qura. Qura, there's actually a Jamia, a university called Qura in Makkah. Qura literally it means the mother of the villages. Qarya is a village. But the reason why it's called Qura, Makkah, is because it contains all of its people in it. That's why. And it's the greatest of all cities. So he says Fatiha is like that. Alright, so we'll pause here inshallah, but next time he's going to go into again why is it called Fatiha and other aspects. And then he's going to go into some virtues of Fatiha. He goes into extensive detail regarding Fatiha. He doesn't do this with every surah. He does mention fadail of different surahs. But just because there's a wealth of information regarding Fatiha. So we're going to take our time inshallah. We're going to go with do the tafsir of Quran very slowly and follow Imam Ibn Kathir. We're going to pause here. Sallallahu tabarak wa ta'ala ala khayri khalqi Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.